have embraced the suck. And listen to me, I'm telling you this right now. This is your first time ever listening to this episode, but this is our time doing it 4 times in a row, trying to get it right because the world just happens. Internet doesn't want to work, microphones don't want to work, and this is what happens when you live in totally different places across the world. But hey, we're here right now. You're here, you're listening. So we're gonna get into an awesome episode and talk about how the Marine Corps recruiting duty can break you. And why do I say that? Because this man right here dealt with a lot of stuff on recruiting duty and is now on the other end of it, as am I, and we're still here to talk about it. So if you are in a bad place, dark place, horrible place, the reality of it is that one day it's going to end, whether it's recruiting duty, whether it's life, no matter what it is, it ends. And you can see yourself on the other side. So what we're going to talk about is Jeremiah's time on recruiting duty, talk about family, friends, talk about life, anxiety, depression, all the things that make up recruiting duty. So without further ado, again, Jeremiah, welcome.
Hey, thank you very much. I'm happy to be on here. Hopefully I can contribute something and someone takes something away from this.
No doubt, man. So listen, man, let's just start off from the jump, man. How did you feel when you were told, hey, you're going on recruiting duty?
Pretty negative. I'm a pretty positive guy. Anybody that meets me is like this boisterous, super outgoing, very positive. Everything is lit. Everything's super cool all the time. But as soon as I got that fancy hits list, the horror stories just come bailing in from all these staff and COs that just tell you how terrible recruiting duty is. You're never going to have time to go to the bathroom. Where's your 2? Where's your 2? Where's your 3? Where's your 4? So going from positivity to immediate negativity, no one had anything good to say about recruiting duty. Drill instructors are the happiest dudes in the world when they come off DI duty, but you hear dudes come off recruiting duty and they think the world is like, it was the worst thing ever. Like, you didn't die, dog. What is that? What the heck? But yeah. I drank the Kool-Aid, right? I mean, it's negative. That's all it is. And re-enlisted because my wife got pregnant. We had a baby. So I'm like, I don't even know that I wanted to be here in the Marine Corps anymore to begin with. I just did my 5 as an aviation dude. Boom. Here it is. You want my background real quick, where I'm from, kind of when I joined, stuff like that?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So name's Jeremiah Breen. Grew up in small town, Kansas. Graduated with like 40, 45 people, something like that. Real little town. Had wrestling scholarships, a couple academic scholarships. Crazy things happened. I didn't take them. I was almost 19 years old, almost a year out of high school, and I didn't know what I was going to do with my life. I'm working at a call center as an 18-year-old kid with like 40-year-old ladies. Some of them are 30, but let's be honest. You know what I mean? Small town, same town. And called my aunt who did 24 years in the Air Force, and I was like, oh, that seems the move, right? Like, if she can do it, I can do it. She goes, Jeremiah, do not join the Air Force. This is not for you. You're going to get in trouble. Something crazy is going to happen. I have a tattoo on my back that says all it takes is all you've got, and knocked on the Marine Corps door, more or less, and, man, joined May of 2011. I couldn't even tell you my recruiter's name. All I remember about him is we had the same birthday. No idea. No clue. But joined in May of 11, aviation dude. Got to go on a couple deployments, nothing crazy. And stationed in California, wanted to stay in Cali. Who doesn't want to stay in Cali after waking up to cows mooing every day and then you see a beach? That's the dream, right? And I hear in New Jersey you guys have beaches. That's what my buddy says, but I don't know. I don't believe it.
Yeah, we do, but they're not like Cali beaches. But yeah, we got beaches. But so you get history to get on the duty. How was your experience from the jump? Like, was it bad? Was it horrible? Like from like the check-in process to the changeover, did you not even get a changeover? Like, what was going on there?
It was awful from the beginning. I called this station commander. I like that term, like we talked earlier. I like the term station commander, not staff and COIC. He had me live near the RSS, but I was getting stationed at the PCS. And the PCS was more or less 45 minutes to an hour south of the RSS. And granted, the RSS is already 3 hours from the RS. So the PCS is 3.5, 4 hours, depending on how you take it. So I'm now living 20 minutes from the RSS. So I drive 20 minutes in there when Google Maps said it was 12. But hey, dude, 16 minutes on recruiting duty is a lifetime. Like you can do a lot in 16 minutes, dude. So that extra 20. And then I had to jet 45 minutes south to my PCS every single day. Don't take the Gov home, Breen. Don't do this because it's bad. When in reality, that would have been the move. I don't even know how much money I spent on gas or diesel at the time just to go to the office and back, when in reality I didn't need to be there. I had 22 to 20. Go ahead.
No, and that's the thing about it, man, is just like there's just so much stuff that goes into recruiting duty that doesn't have to. Like there's so many things that like you hear these words, and that's why I created the podcast. Like if you're listening to this for the first time ever and you're like, why the hell did this guy create a podcast about recruiting duty? The reason why I created the podcast, well, there's other segments, but the reason why I created this segment is so that like other people could hear about how fucking dumb this shit we go through is. And then maybe eventually someone's going to be like, wait a minute. Like, because like, I thought it was just New Jersey. And then I find out, no, like this is like a Marine Corps wide thing that like things just suck. And that you work in the office, like, hey, make phone calls all day, but guess what? No one answers after 7 o'clock. But we're going to stay at the office all day. So like, and it sucks because you really think about the amount of hours that you spend doing nothing. And sometimes, like I was saying this before, but you know, like my boss, even if you had 2 for tomorrow and everyone in the office had their share for tomorrow, at 7 o'clock, you'd be like, hey man, like, can we go home?
Mm-hmm.
And he'd be like, no, I just got this tasker and we got to get this done. And then at like 10:30, you'd be like, so Gunny, like, we go home? And then he'd be like, well, no, like, and it's like, dude, it's like 12 o'clock at night. Like, just because you don't have a family and a life at home, like, doesn't mean that I don't. And like, I have a family and kids, like, and like, so much time you just lose and you don't get it back. Mm-hmm. And then, you know, like yourself, you know, like, and myself, like, our wives are suffering at home with our children because we're in the office, and 9 times so many times it's like we're in the office doing nothing. Mm-hmm. So like, what did that feel like? Like what was going through your mind? Like, did you feel like, was like bitter, mad, anxious? What was going on?
It's defeating. It doesn't matter what you do. Your boss is sitting in his office, probably dicking around on his phone too. Or maybe he's closing out events that he should have closed out throughout the day, but instead we were a 1 in 5. So instead of doing those events and working while you're at work, like we discussed before, work while you're at work, not a hard concept. He's playing on his phone, and it makes you very frustrated and upset. Yeah. And if you wrote your 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 that month, why are you even in the office past those contracts? In reality, write your contracts. That's all it is. But we're so focused on padding numbers. Like we talked about it before, right? Like you're padding numbers. But we've been padding numbers for 20, 25, 30 years. Who knows in reality how long we've been padding these numbers? If we would do actual recruiting, right? Like per what your numbers are, I think half the recruiting day would be over with.
Yeah, no, 100%. Yeah, no, and I was talking about. I made a post about that today on my Instagram. I was just talking about it, and I actually had this colonel reach out to me and comment on it. And I had just said, like, right now, today is July 20th. It's actually my 13th year anniversary of being in the Marine Corps. So
dang, nice, congrats, dude! Cheers.
But I made a post and I was talking about July 20th, and I was like, hey, it's Monday. Well, no, today's Wednesday. Tomorrow's Thursday.
Yep.
And you're either 1, you've already made mission, or 2, you're prepping your missed phase line brief right now. Like right now, you're getting ready because you know tomorrow is going to come. You didn't make phase line, and your life is in shambles, right? And I brought that up and I said, but just do your job. Like if everybody just did their job, there wouldn't be an issue. But the problem is that you have officers across Marine Corps recruiting duty. And I'm not saying that there aren't other variables, but a huge variable is people just not doing their job. Like, and we talked about this before, just the amount of hours that you spend on your phone, on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, on the phone with this person, on the phone with that person, all these time wasting practices. And listen, this is coming from, if you're listening to this right now and you're on the duty, don't think like, oh, bro, fuck these dudes. No, like we're talking from experience, and we're talking about like I hated there was times where I know I could have done better, but I was bitter towards my boss, and I was bitter towards a 12, and I was like, you know what, I'll show them. I'm just not gonna do anything, and it's like, bro, like if you just get your stuff, but that's the problem, is that we say, okay, well, if you just get your stuff done, you can go home. But if you're a station commander and you're not letting your Marines go home, well, then you're failing. And also, if you're a commander, right, if you're a CO and you have Marines that are writing their 2 a month and they're working 7 days a week, then there needs to be things that are done. Because if a Marine checks into an RS and they see Marines writing 2s, 4s, 6s, and there's no quality of life, then that Marine immediately is going to say to himself, 9 times out of 10, well, then I'm never going to work hard here because there's no reason to.
Yes. No, I mean, from the jump, when a guy makes you live near the RSS, but then puts you in a PCS just because he wants to helicopter leadership you're already failing this dude from the very beginning. If I wasn't who I was, I don't know that I'd have been successful. I mean, recruiting duty, but let's be real. It's all about relatability. I have done everything. I don't know anything about anime, bro. I can talk Pokemon. But I can relate to anything. But taking 2 hours at a minimum of my day is just driving. I had 22 to 25 schools. It makes me, I forget how many. And they were 3 hours in a circumference.
Yeah.
And there's some people out there are way worse than that. So I'm not saying I had the worst, right?
No,
But the fact that I have to leave at 5 o'clock in the morning and don't get home till 1, what are we doing here?
Yeah, and like you said, it's setting, not only is it setting that Marine up for failure, but it immediately tells that Marine, and correct me if I'm wrong, because you're the one that lived through this, it immediately tells that Marine that my station commander doesn't care about me.
100%.
Like if I'm checking into a unit or checking into, and especially here in the Marine Corps on recruiting duty, you have that small unit leadership. So if my first impression of you is that you don't care how far I live from my job, and you're not even going to try to alleviate that, because like, this is my thing, right? I called him, this one of my Marines, I called him, I was like, hey bro, where are you going to be living? And he was like, oh, I'm going to be living in Fort Dix, which is an hour away. I straight out on the phone said, you're a fucking idiot. I said, you are dumb. He said, what are you talking about? I said, bro, 1, you're losing money in BAH. 2, you're going to be an hour away from your family, and you're living on the base where our MEPS is located. Mm-hmm. So you're going to drive from your house home, from your house to the office, pick up a kid, drive back home, drop him off at MEPS to go back to work. And then later on in the day, you're going to have to go pick him up from MEPS and not be able to stay at home. I was like, bro, never do that. That is the dumbest thing you could do. What did he do? He bought the house. He worked on. He lived on the base. So now, what did I do though?
You prepped him.
No, well, yeah, but what did I do
more TCs.
but what did I? The solution is always more TCs. But what did I do now? Now, every single time that Marine complained about his travel, I made him aware that, hey, motherfucker, I called you before you checked in. I told you not to do that. So I don't want to hear about it. I don't want to hear your wife bring it up. I don't want to hear you be upset about it. I don't care, because I told you that, hey, there's this apartment here. There's this apartment here. You can live nearby. This is a good area. This is a safe area. Boom. But if you're a staff and CO, if you're a station commander and you don't do that for your Marines, you're failing them.
Yes.
Because at the end of the day, and like I said, like at the end of the day, like if you're 8412 and you're brand new in the AO, I get it. but like you should still do your due diligence to know, hey, know a realtor to help your Marines out.
Yep.
Number one, it's just good for the community. You should be able to know everybody in your community, the influencers in your area, but know who's around and know who's there to help you. And then, know what are good areas, because realistically too, like you should know what areas are good because that's where your area canvassing. You're going to find the quality of people, right? So we have this thing in the office called an assets board, right? So if you use the assets board and you actually know where these apartment complexes are, you should know where hotspots are for you to area canvas or where and stuff like that. And also now you would know, hey, what's a good apartment complex for the next Marine to come and live in? And these are just things that you should take care of because it tells that Marine and his family that you give a damn about their well-being and that
Yes.
you want to make his day the easiest as it is. But if you're starting a Marine's day off with him having to be up by 5 a.m. just to get to the office, you're the biggest part of the problem, realistically.
Oh, 100%, man. Like I couldn't imagine. So I got full blown divorced on recruiting duty, right? Because my entire time was spent on recruiting. Like that minimum of 2 hours a day, that is huge. That's 14 hours a week. You're a new recruiter. You're working 7 days a week. I mean, that's how it was in my office. It didn't matter what you were writing. You're working 7 days a week because we're going to get your true numbers. And the best way we can get your true numbers is by ensuring that we're doing all of these prospecting activities. Hell yeah, brother. It makes a lot of sense if you ask me. Like, it's just from that jump. And when I realized that he set me up for failure, the funny thing is I got stationed in Southern Missouri for recruiting duty, 3.5 hours south of my hometown. My grandparents have property on the PCS that I got sent to. My wife and I could have legitimately lived on Table Rock Lake, which was closer to my PCS than the house that I bought and lost money on because of bad leadership. So I even know kind of the area where I'm at.
Yeah.
And I was still failed. Wasn't told I was going to PCS Branson until after I had closed on my house. Wasn't told the prior recruiters were selling their house and they were having trouble sell their house. I found my own house on my own, no setup. This happened to 3 different recruiters in that same office from the same leader. Like those things set you up from failure from the very, very beginning. Very beginning.
And that's the thing about it is that trickles down into your next 3 years on the duty.
Yeah.
How you start anything is how the next time is going to begin. Like that made no sense. The next 3 years of your life are very much dictated on how it begins. And again, like I don't want to work for somebody who didn't care enough to care about me. And it speaks volumes of their character. So how was your time though? Like, and I know, like, so working with your staff, your station commander, was he like, did he train you? Did you gain training? Like, or was it really this guy who was just kind of like, hey, go do this, go do that. I'm never going to show up to the PCS. I'm never going to be there to help you out. Like, because I know you became a heavy hitter, but like, was any of you becoming a heavy hitter because of him? Or did you kind of self-teach yourself? Like, what happened there?
100% self-taught. So the first day I went to my PCS, the guy I was replacing, right? He was doing pretty well. So he's kind of on his way out. Show up, didn't even know where the PCS was. The address didn't take me there. Anybody that knows Branson, Missouri that listens to this, they'd be like, I don't know what you're talking about if I told them the location, right? I get lost going to my own office on my first day of work. That's what it is, right? You're going to when you check into a new command, someone greets you at the gate, whether you're a private or a colonel. Someone meets you there and allows you the opportunity to discover where you're going without you feeling lost. How many times do you pick up PFCs to bring them into the shop, right? Like it's a welcoming thing. I don't care. Sure, it's Marine Corps, but it's still welcoming. Yeah. I got none of that.
I'm gonna walk you around the building, check you in.
Yeah.
Introduce you to everybody. I'm gonna show you around. I'm gonna do a left seat, right seat, and you just get told, hey man, here's the address. Go figure it out.
There you go. And so that happened, and I didn't do well at first at recruiting, but I was in a weird AO, right? Like heavy, I'm sure a lot of people say heavy meth, very high ASVAB failures. Like I had people get like 3s on East. Going, hell yeah, hey, Dab it up. Hey, there ain't no scars, right? So this heavy, real weird area. My guy I was replacing, took me to 3 schools. They were all the schools that were relatively close. And I had schools that had 4 people in graduating classes. I had to sit through elementary lunches, middle school lunches. I would have to pack out an entire class in one day because it's 2 hours from my PCS and an hour back to the RSS. So to pack out at a completely disqualified school would take me a minimum of 6 hours drive time for one school. But you have to do it, right? Check the boxes. That's our assets map. That's an asset, supposedly. And so these just became very combative. And then we can kind of I wrote my first contract, and after that, I was crushing it. But I was never allowed to go home. I was never allowed to be in the PCS after 7 or 8 o'clock, right? Like I didn't have time to have lunch with my wife. I couldn't do those things because ride the pony. It's going to get you to the finish line. Mission maker. I would never train on TCs, ACs, DCs. I'd beg this guy to come to my office to help me run my PTs because I'm 2.5 hours out east doing 3 interviews and 2 NWAs. He wouldn't do it. I'd have to cancel PT last second for some kids that were having to drive 45 minutes plus one way. And then I'd get yelled at because I don't have Marines or poolies at PTs. It was just, none of it made sense to me why I was getting no help. Even though I'm being successful, what is success without any sort of award, I guess, if you want to say it?
Bro, and what sucks too, and I lived through the same thing because, like, for me, something that I always thought was like, so first of all, I didn't even go through PAR training.
Wow.
I went to 1 day of PAR training, and that was because I was an EAD Marine. So my master sergeant at the time, the ARI, was like, hey, you don't need to go to PAR. You've already been out here long enough. He's like, I don't give a damn. And then the guy who was running the PAR training was like, no, he needs to come for at least 1 day. And I was like, okay. So I went for 1 day. But the reason why I bring that up is because, like, I destroyed the duty on my own. Yes. No one I had other recruiters and friends of mine that I learned from, right? But I didn't have 12s that were teaching me how to conduct MC3. I didn't have people who were like showing me how to TC. I did have one gunnery sergeant who did, but he was only my boss for 3 months. My next boss, my other only boss, just did nothing. And the reason why I bring that up, right, it's not to complain about it. It's just to bring awareness to, like, when we look at offices that are failing, everybody always looks at the 8411 immediately. But they don't look at the station commander that's in that office. Because sometimes the solution isn't RFCing a recruiter, it's getting rid of the boss. Because, like, I have a Marine, I'm going to have him on the podcast, and it's going to be a very controversial podcast. I'm telling you, it's going to go crazy. But there's a Marine, I'm not going to say his name, but I heard for 2 years that this Marine was the biggest piece of shit. All I ever heard was, this dude's a piece of shit, this dude's a piece of shit, this dude's a piece of shit. And I never worked with him, though. So then I get stationed in his RSS for a couple of months, and day 1 comes in, and I walk in, it's 8 o'clock, he's here at the same time as me, and he's already at his desk making phone calls. And I'm like, well, he doesn't seem like a piece of shit. Like, he's doing his job. Like, yeah. And then, like, 9 o'clock rolls in. He has an NWA. He has a kid come in, and I'm like, it's 9 o'clock. Like, and he's got an NWA already. I'm like, bro, like, this guy. I'm like, this guy doesn't seem like a piece of shit. I'm like, what's going on here? Because I've been told for years this guy's a piece of shit person. Yeah. So all of a sudden, I go into the station commander's office for the morning meeting, and he looks at me and he goes, yo, you want to see something really funny? I was like, what's that? He goes, I'm going to fuck with so-and-so. I was like, what? He goes, oh, yeah, I do it every day. It's great. And I was like, wait, what? And then I find out that this Marine who's quote-unquote the shitbag, it's not that he's a shitbag. It's that the station commander just purposely fucks with him to fuck with him. And then gets the command to believe that this Marine is a shitbag. And now, mind you, don't get me wrong, this guy began to do shitty things,
Mm-hmm.
but by the time he started to do these shitty things, it was like, well, you've labeled me a shitbag for 2 years. Now I'm just gonna go be a dirtbag.
Yeah.
But what was messed up though was that like this Marine would work hard, but because he wasn't liked by the station commander, it didn't matter. And then that station commander put his opinion into the minds of the command members. And the reason why I bring this up, and to go back to what I was saying, is that like there's Marines out there who naturally are going to be heavy hitters without the training.
Yes.
But if they were trained, they could be heavier hitters. And then they could train those Marines in that RSS while you can't. And that's what it all boils down to. Is in my mind, there's a serious lack of training across the board, and that's why you have to take it more seriously when you're putting people in the seat of a station commander, because at the end of the day, if you don't know how to train the Marines in the office, how can you lead them?
You control their lives on recruiting duty way more than you can control anyone's life anywhere that I've ever been to in my 30 years of living. You can so kind of circle back, my wife and I got full-blown divorced. Like for a year because of recruiting duty. That's kind of BS to blame recruiting duty, right? But like I allowed that to happen, and my station commander would take my kid away from me because who's going to tell him no? No matter what you write. All right, Breen, you want your kid? Bet. He comes with you Saturday while you're making TCs, ACs, and DCs. I get my kids 6 days out of 28 to 31 days of the month, and I had to prospect in front of him, hold appointments, interviews, NWAs in front of my 2-year-old. What kind of time is that? My kid's only 6.5 right now. I missed out on an entire year of his life because of bad leadership. Bro, we control their lives. Keep them.
Yeah, dude, and it's true, man, because like my son's 4. My first 2 years on the duty was with my son. He was born on my first year on the duty. And bro, my boss told me, and I've said this before, and people have called me and they're like, dude, that's not real. And I'm like, no, I have the text messages, man. My boss, when I told him that my wife was having a baby and I told him the due date, his first comment was, "You're having a baby through FMAM?" I was like, oh yeah, because I can control that. But yes, I am. He's like, you're gonna go on leave for 2 weeks in the middle of April? I was like, yes, but you'll have your contracts. And I wrote a contract the day my son was born. Like literally, my son was coming out, and Corporal Mahon now was becoming Puli Mahon as my son was being born. And again, like the reason why we're talking about this is just because, like, bro, if my boss had told me, hey man, take your time with your family, I got you, it would have been different. And the reason why I say that is because I lived that life, right? So when I became a station commander, I allowed my Marines to take leave. But what I would do is I remembered how it felt to take leave and then come back with nothing. Because then it's like, bro, I took a week or I took a couple of days and I don't have anything. Now I'm dry. My bucket's run empty. I don't have anything. I don't have appointments. Now the command's on my ass, like da-da-da. So what I did was I told my Marines, hey, go take a week of leave and I will handle your AO while you're gone. I'll make your TCs for you. I will AC for you. I will hold your appointments for you. I will hold your interviews. I will get you NWAs. But when you get back, you better be ready to go. And then when they came back after that week of leave, I would hand them, hey, man, I sat down with this kid. I sat down with this kid, got PC set up for this, da-da-da-da. And then those kids would come in the office. I would introduce them to the recruiter. And now that recruiter is refreshed. They had a week of leave off, and they didn't come back to nothing. And the record of – so let's read this comment. So the record of training is more important than actually conducting that training. If you can show someone in the system that they'll take that instead of success, that real training will yield. So here's the thing. I'm glad you said that. Hey, listen, if you didn't get the training, don't sign it. That's it, bro. And listen, I'm not saying that because I'm being a scumbag. if you were out in the Fleet Marine Corps,
Yes.
and you signed on the dotted line that I got this training, and God forbid there was an issue, an accident or something, the first thing they're going to do is they're going to go back to the training and they're going to run you up the flagpole because you got the training, right?
Yep.
If you're not receiving the training, you're not receiving the training, bro. Stop saving other people, bro. Just stop. Stop being cool with these people, because at the end of the day, if they're going to fail you, they're failing you. It's okay.
Yes.
Just be real with it. Hey, Gunny, you know what? I didn't get that. You did not do that. You never gave me that. I'm not going to sign that.
Yep.
Oh, you want me to fraudulently sign that? Hey, put it in an email telling me to fraudulently sign it, because then when this comes back, I'll be able to tell people why I didn't sign it.
You know what's
no.
I started doing that. I started not signing my training. So
Yep.
you know what my command said to me when I told them I was going through a divorce? My station commander said, "Oh, don't worry about it. She'll come back." I was like, "No, I told her to leave. This is not good for her. She needs to get out of here, because I'm not Jeremiah anymore. I'm being a bad husband, dad, whatever the hell you want to call it. I'm being all those bad things. She's not coming back." Sergeant Major comes down, boom, only for a routine visit, not for a specific check on your Marines visit. Routine visit. He goes, "Well, didn't you just write a 4?" I sat there stoic as fuck. He goes, "Didn't you just write a 4, Breen?" Didn't say a thing. He was like, "I asked you a question." I said, "Sergeant Major, you just found out I'm divorcing my wife that has my child that I've known since elementary school, and then we've been together since high school. And your first thing is, didn't you just write a 4? What? Dude, that is not leadership. The CO comes down. "Well, Breen, what are your goals?" I said, "My other goal would be to fix my family if I can figure that out, but I just shit it all away." "Yeah, but you're killing it, man. It'll all work out. Just keep writing contracts. Everything's going to be okay." This is from, what are they, majors? Yeah, he was a major. That guy got fired. Sergeant Major, that guy got relieved. Not because of me, because I don't say shit. At the time, I was like such a new recruiter. I'm grinding. I'm like, why do we do this? And then training, all these things accumulating. And I stopped signing training. Breen, get in there and sign your training. On what? Didn't you just try to counsel me the other day because I don't know how to do my job, even though I've saved this place? Sign your training. No, sir. Come train me.
Yep.
No, you come up to the office and train. No. You come to my office and train me during TCs, DCs, ACs, appointments, interviews. Show me how to pack a kid, because I don't know how to do it, right?
Yep.
It's blowing. Everything just blows up. And how can you not see that it's a you problem? How can leadership not tell from, at the end of the day, COs don't know anything about recruiting duty. The ops does not know anything about recruiting duty. The officer, what am I thinking of right now? The OPSO. Yeah, the OPSO. He doesn't know anything about recruiting duty. All he knows about is shipping, contracting. That's it.
Yeah.
It comes out from the RI. If the RI is not helping from the bottom down, starts at the top, and train your freaking Marines, dude.
Yeah, no, 100%, man. I agree with that, and I always echo that because it's the truth, man. I was never that kind of guy, right? Because I never liked being the person to throw people under the bus. But I started to realize that things weren't changing. Things weren't going to change. So me and my buddy, it came time for an SRI, and my buddy, the boss was like, "Hey, man, we're all going to help finish this SRI." And we were like, "Well, isn't it your SRI?" And the answer was like, "Yeah, but we're all going to stay in the office late. We're going to do our jobs." And we're like, "But wait, we already did ours though." And then he's like, "All right, whatever." So the one Marine was PCSing to another office to become the station commander. So the gunny was like, "Hey, man, do me a favor and go through all my training logs and put the notes in." And he's like, "Hey, go through all the weeks and put in the notes." So the Marine was like, "Okay." But guess what? The gunny never read these notes. So the staff sergeant started writing in the notes, "Bro, your numbers are trash. This is garbage, da-da-da-da," and just started blowing up these recruiters. And then he started to sign them while he was underneath his name on his McChris. So the staff and COI, the station commander's signature was this Marines. So when the ARI, when district came to do the SRI, they were like, hey, Gunny, why are these signed by your recruiter? Why do these comments not make any sense? And all this stuff, dude, he literally, it was hilarious. But the reason why I bring that up is because, like, if we took training more seriously, life would be different. And I say this all the time on Marine Corps, in the Marine Corps, anywhere else. Like, we'll just say it like this: when a helicopter went down, what is the first thing they do? They look at the training, they look at the PM to see, okay, hey, was the preventative maintenance done on this aircraft? They do an investigation. Why is it that when recruiting stations miss mission, they don't look at the training log and say, hey, Gunny, you're not training your Marines, so they don't know how to deal with disinterest. They don't know how to deal with objections. Your Marine doesn't even know how to fill out a 680-2807. He doesn't even know how to talk to a parent. Hey, or at the pool validations. Hey, I had this happen, dude. The sergeant major said to one of the police, he goes, hey, who's the boss of the office? He goes, who's the boss? Like, if you had to pick somebody who was in charge of the office, who is it? And the kid, like, literally, like, 20 police raised their hand. They were like, Sergeant Bennett. And the sergeant major was like, I'm sorry. And they're like, Sergeant Bennett. They're like, he met all of our parents. He spoke to all of our parents. He's been at every pool function. They're like, and then mind you, this time the Gunny wasn't there. He wasn't present for this pool function. He was like away or something. And they were like, well, they were like, oh, but it's Gunny so-and-so. And the poolie literally was like, who's that? I've never met him. And that started to happen. But there was poolies who had never met station commanders. There was poolies that were shipping that never even knew recruit. And then why am I talking about this? It's because if we wonder why Marine Corps recruiting duty is failing in a lot of ways, it's if the Marine Corps stopped winning wars, we would look at boot camp, we would look at ITB, we would look at the training that's happening. We would wonder, we would deduce, well, what's going on? But when we look at the actual training in these Marines training logs, like if you look at some standard Marines, go into their training logs. When was the last time someone sat down with a substandard Marine, besides at 0 and 1 training, and conducted training with them?
Real training.
Like legitimate. Because listen, if you take all of your Marines that wrote 0s and 1s and tell them to go to a 0 and 1 training, and you tell them, hey, listen, you're going to make phone calls all day until you have 3 appointments for Monday, and then you come home, that's not training. That's just
my favorite. It's my favorite. It makes so much sense.
Like, bro, I couldn't, I'm not speaking for myself, but that recruiter couldn't do it all month long. But you believe on Saturday, because you're standing there, now he can?
You want to know something funny? I set up appointments for my fellow recruiters that were going 0-1 training so they could leave.
Yeah. Bro,
because
I was at my first.
My boss wouldn't do it. My boss wouldn't do it.
Bro, I only went to 0 and 1 training, and it was like 2:00 on a Saturday. And we were in the group chat, and my boy is texting me, and he's like, dude, when are you leaving? He's like, because Gunny won't let us leave until you get back. And I'm like, bro, Mass Sergeant said that I can't leave till I have 2 appointments for Monday. And he's like, okay. Like 5 minutes goes by. My gov phone starts ringing, and I answer it. I'm like, Marine, Sergeant Bennett. And this dude's on the other line. He's like, yo, what's up, man? It's Danny. He's like, yo, we met like 3 days ago. I forgot to call you, but I'm good for tomorrow at 2:00. And he was like, yeah, man, I want to meet because of this, and the third. And then he's like, I'm like, hey Top, I'm like, I just got an appointment for tomorrow, Master. And he's like, who is it? I'm like, Danny. And he's like, why is he coming in? And I was like, do you want to talk to him? Because I'm confident. So he gets on the phone with him, and he's like, hey, what's going on, sir? And dude, plays off the whole thing. Boom, hangs up the phone. Like 5, I'm like, all right, I got one for Monday. So I walk up to the board. I put my one up for Monday. A couple minutes later goes by. The female recruiter in the office calls. She's like, hey, it's Brandy. Yeah, I want to be a Marine. I got a referral from a Poolie. I know Poolie so-and-so. And now I have 2 appointments for Monday. I deuce out. And it's like, bro, but what training did you provide?
Yeah.
Like, and then on top of that, you're sitting in a room with 30 other people, because we all know that there's a whole bunch of substandard fucks. You got like 15 other people in this state that suck. And then you're all talking over one another. And then it's like, no one wants to be there. There's negativity spewing everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
There's no training actually coming of it. You're not sitting there listening to a Marine and understanding where is he falling short. And that's the thing too, is that like, if you look at it too, if there's all these substandard Marines, doesn't that just point to the training?
If you're in the fleet, or I don't know, reserve stations, right? Because we're on recruiting duty. Like, if you're a reservist, like I went to reserve units. If there's a group failing, platoon, shop, whatever words you want to use, it's never that group's fault. This shit starts from boot camp. How many times did you have a bad day on the freaking parade deck and your senior gets kicked off the parade deck? It starts from there. But we go to recruiting duty and no, it's Sergeant Breen's fault. It's not Gunny Jimmy's fault. It's Sergeant Breen's fault that he's failing. What? Dude, I got certified from 3.5 hours away. I put my RI or ARI, whoever it was at the time, on speakerphone. And they listened to an interview. And I was a certified recruiter because my APR was like 3.7.
Exactly.
That's not what it is.
Bro.
And it's BS. It's bullshit.
And that's the thing about it, dude, is that, and that was something that I said when I got fired. One of the things that I said was, and I put this because I ended up telling the district CO. Yeah. I talked to him and I was like, listen, like, you're going to fire me. That's cool. But I was like, can we talk about the lack of accountability and why I missed mission? Like, I was like, if you look at all my restatements, every month I asked for a pool validation that I never received.
Yep.
I asked for help from the RI SOP that I never received. Yep. And inevitably 14 months later, it led to me missing mission for my first time ever. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is because when I was talking to the district CO, I said to him, sir, I have a Marine who went a year with writing zeros. That Marine was certified at his 9-month eval, and he had only written one contract. I said, why would someone certify him? And when I told the RI, oh no, I wasn't there when he got certified. It wasn't my office. It was the other Marine's office before I got there. So when I had my first Marine go through his 9-month eval, I put in the recommendation that I did not recommend that he get certified because I didn't believe that he was ready. I didn't believe that he knew. But do you know what the gunny told me? The 8412? He said, well, does he understand though? And I said, it doesn't matter. Clearly he doesn't, because he can't write contracts. Yeah. And I was like, and listen, I'll take the onus. I failed because at the end of the day, I'm the staff and I'm the station commander. He's my Marine, and I failed. But when I've asked you to come and assist me, because clearly the training that I'm giving him isn't working, where have you been? Yes. And that's what I'm saying is, like, when we look at these Marines training logs, where is the training?
0.
Like, where is it? Like, and that's the thing about it is that, like, if you really dig deeper, and I get it, and people's excuses are going to be like, oh, well, we don't have the time. Bro, make the time.
100%. What? Like, you chose to be in this position. especially if you're an 8412. A lot of us I became a station commander, right? Never had aspirations of being 8412. But like, you're in that position. Make the time. Because guess what? Benny over here hasn't seen his wife in 4 days because she tries to set alarm clocks, but she can't set alarm clocks enough because she's trying to breastfeed a newborn every hour and a half or feed the newborn every hour and a half.
Mm-hmm.
And so she's trying to have her eyes taped open just so her husband can rub her back for 2.5 seconds. I make time to try to figure out your fucking mission. Sorry for that harsh word, but I figured out time to make your mission. But why don't you figure out time to help me make your mission?
Yeah, and that's the thing, man, is that like a lot of times we forget about the spouse, and like you brought up, you know, like my wife, man. Like I'll tell you this much, man. So I have a newborn. I have my third child.
Congrats.
He's 3 months. He's about to be 3 months.
Okay.
And this is the first time that I've been visibly here to watch what goes through a woman breastfeeding a child. Because the first 2 times I was on recruiting duty. So I didn't realize how much it took my wife to be a mother.
Yeah.
Because I was always at the office. I was at the office from 5 in the morning doing MEPS runs till 10 or 11 o'clock at night. By the time I got home, the kids were sleeping, my wife was sleeping. So I never saw. And when I would come home and she would be, 9 times out of 10, my wife was never, mad, angry, upset, or anything like that. She never was, because my wife holds things together. But there was times when my wife she would break down in tears, and she would just let it all go. Man. And then I would be like, why do you do that? And she's like, Doug, because you haven't spoken to me in 6 months. She's like, I haven't had a chance. You tell me that I can talk to you, but when I talk to you, you're flipping out on me. When I try to talk to you, you go outside to smoke a cigarette or to have a drink. So I can't speak to you because you won't allow me to speak to you. And for the first time now, being where I am in the life that I'm living, now that I'm able to help my wife, now that I'm able to get up, because now I get up in the middle of the night to feed my son, or I get up at like 5 o'clock to feed my son while my wife does her thing. And now I'm here to help out. But when I wasn't there, she was doing all this on her own. Mm-hmm. And then we had my daughter. So now she was doing this all on her own with a 2-year-old.
And a baby.
And a baby. And these are things. And the thing is that my wife was disgusted with my command. Because when she would see the command, they would say, oh, hey, how are you? How's everything? What can we do for you? And in her head, she's like, let my fucking husband come home. Like, and it's not like I wasn't the dude who was writing contracts. I was killing it. Yeah. So my wife was like, why are you killing it, but you can't come home to me?
100%, dog.
And that's the reality of it. So if you're a station commander, if you are a Marine recruiter, if you're anybody who's in a leadership position, and especially, listen to me, if you're an A gunner, have the fucking balls and the tenacity to tell your boss, hey, I sent so-and-so home.
Take charge.
Like, because if you don't do that, then you having the position of a gunner means nothing.
Yeah, I mean, how many times as a corporal or sergeant you send Lance Corporals home? Yo, Sergeant Schmucket or Lance Corporal Schmuckatelli's been busting his ass all week, dog. I don't ask him to do shit. Bang, bang, boom. Yo, Schmuckatelli, get out of here at noon.
Yeah.
Yo, Corporal Breen, where's Schmuckatelli? I sent him home, dog. Oh, all right, cool. Why? Busted his ass. Didn't have to correct anything.
Yeah.
As an A gunner, take charge of that shit. But they don't. That title, a majority of the time, means absolutely nothing.
Hold on a second. When I went on RA, the gunny kept me in the office till 10 p.m. with the recruiters because they failed mission. I was never so happy to go to the field in my life. Bro, that is true, man. That young man right there, bro. And that's the thing, too. And you wonder why, bringing that into the conversation, you wonder why Lance Corporals don't want to come out on RA. Yeah, it's because when they come out on RA, they work 24/7, and they came home to be with their family and see their family. And then the worst thing is that when those Lance Corporals come home, their mom, dad, brother, sister, cousin, girlfriend, boyfriend, they think, oh, he's going to be home for the month. Bro, if you tell those Marines, hey, listen, Marine, if you get me 2 people to join the Marine Corps within your first week, I will give you the next 20 days off. Guess what? that Marine is going to go find you 2 people to join the Marine Corps.
Yes.
And when you keeping that Marine in the office all hours of the day,
Bullshit.
like it's insane. It's insane because these, number one, you're expecting these these Lance Corporals and these these recruiter assistants to do something that these sergeants can't even do that went to the RC. Like,
and they're Marines, but they don't have a Marine Corps story. What is your story?
Exactly.
I went to boot camp and now I can't go to ITB or MCT or any of that stuff yet because the school is backed up. Like, that's what's crazy. So I know we're hitting an hour, but when my wife and I divorced, right, kicked her out of the house, told her to leave, whole nine. We're divorced for an entire year. So that year, obviously, I'm taking off. I'm running with it. I'm at the highest high of success and the lowest low of all my mental. I've never been here in my entire life. There's probably someone in this chat that knows this entire story very, very deeply. And I'm regularly in a very, very depressive, low state. Your entire emotion, positivity, everything has to go into your pool. Your entire pool, your future poolies, your current poolies, and you're going to be Marines, every single ounce you have has to go into them, or you're going to be a failure or semi-successful. I'm not semi-successful, dog. I win at everything I do. And putting all of this in and becoming a winner and getting nothing besides, what the fuck's a NAM dude? Would you rather have 4 days off or a NAM on recruiting duty? Are you kidding me? I don't know how many. I think I got 2 or 3 NAMs. I have no idea. And I got a comm. Like, I don't give a fuck about a NAM. Say, Jeremiah, hey, you're getting a divorce. How about go surprise your wife and fix this shit? You just wrote a 4. Peace out. Instead, they just hammer you and hammer you and hammer you. There was an incident. I got to tell you this one. We go to all hands training, and our station was 3 hours south, but it was the midpoint of the entire RS. Okay. Mm-hmm. So they would come to us. The night before was one of those nights, me and my staff in COIC, he's not a station commander. He's trash. Me and this fucking shittiest Marine I've ever met in my entire life. I just wrote a 4. I gave 2 NWAs, sitting there. We have a new recruiter in the office. I told you the story earlier, but this has got to be there. New recruiter in the office, and it's like 10:30, dog. Remember, my PCS is an hour south. So I've been up. I'm there before all these fools. 10:30, yo, Sergeant Jimmy, get out of here. Sergeant so-and-so, get out of here. And I'm sitting, I was done with it. Boom, bop, slap my desk. And I was like, what in the fuck is going on, Gunny? And he goes, excuse me? And I said, what are we doing? What am I doing here? What is Jeremiah Breen doing here? Because we all started going by first name basis. Man, it's recruiting duty, dude. There is no rank on recruiting duty until they want to pull it. Until you want to use it, there is no rank on recruiting. It don't matter if you're a Lance Corporal or a Mass Sergeant. You're all the same, dog. It gets rowdy. Boom. The heads collide. People grab each other, is what it is. I get kicked out by my buddy. I come in the next morning. I get a text message. Sergeant Breen, be in my office at 7 a.m. dressed. So his thing was, if he's mad, you're TCing and dress blue Bravos, Deltas, Charlies, whatever it is you want to choose on that time of year, whenever he tells you to be in the office, you better be dressed by that time. So if this guy was ever in uniform, it's because he was failing or he wanted to make a point. Dressed. All right, bet, whatever. Closes the door on me, which he never does this shit, right? Sign this. Excuse me? Sign this, disrespect to his staff and CO, blah, blah, blah. Just trying to hit me with all the articles he can, right? So that way, negative counseling becomes what? An NJP. An NJP becomes a court-martial if you deny it. I said, Gunny, I'm not signing that. He's like, excuse me? All hands is the same day. I said, I'm not signing it. He's like, all right, good to go. I'll take this to the Sergeant Major, and we will make this a situation. I said, sounds good to me. Get the fuck out of my office. All right, sounds good, Gunner Sergeant. Get out. Shut my door. Boom, shut the door. Breen, pack up, get in my car, let's go. All right, bad deal. We go over there. He's got Master Guns and the Master Sergeant in a room. Parade rest, bitch, is what they say to me. I'm a sergeant, bro. First off, this is not professional. Anyways, go to parade rest. Good to go, Master Guns. No big deal. Boom, boom, boom. He's lighting me up, ripping me. You know, like when you get super up, my legs shaking. Because I'm like, ooh, because I can't say nothing. And I'm just like, oh, shut up, like whatever it is. And he goes, so Sergeant Breen, is this true? And you're not going to sign it? I said, I'll sign it if you take this out, and this out, just like I told him to take it out. Disrespectful to staff and CO, bad deal. I'll sign it. I said, but I want him to sign one too about how he treats his Marines, right? Let's do professionalism. Let's Article 15 the shit. Fuck it, whatever. Let's kill it. And Master Guns was like, excuse me? And I was like, I need to say something. You're not going to have me sign something without saying something. And he goes, what is it? I said, this gunny doesn't train anyone. This gunny told me literally that, go ahead, have your kid this weekend, but you're going to be in the office working with him. I'm divorced, Master Guns. You know that, right? Well, yeah, I heard about it. What do you mean you heard about it? This has been 6 months, dog. You heard about it? That's your reasoning? I trained this guy. Master Guns go, Gunny, is this true? He's like, yeah. He goes, Breen, what do you have working? I said, I just wrote a 4. I have 3 NWAs, 2 appointments for Monday. And he's like, what else do you do? I said, oh, well, I help Sergeant so-and-so get appointments. He goes, Gunny, do you help him? And Gunny's like, yeah. I said, no, you don't. Stop it. I said, Gunny, you don't help any of these guys. And he's like, okay. He's like, Gunny, you might want to kind of step back. He's like, Breen, I don't want to see this shit again. Get the fuck out of this room. Bet. Sounds good, Master Guns. So I scurry on out, right? Wait outside the door. My Gunny says to me, you will not win this, bitch. You won't see your kid. What do you do there? My instant reaction as a grown-ass man is we're fighting.
Yeah.
Like, it's a clock.
Yeah.
But if you do that, then where are you at? Because we're still in the Marine Corps, right? You have all these command chains. There. Sergeant Major's there. The only thing I could do was go outside and call my, at that time, ex-wife and tell her that I can't be a father this weekend because I made someone mad about not staying past 10:30. That's leadership. That is recruiting leadership. And I was like, no way, this is it.
Yeah.
And
and it sucks because like it happens like that. And what sucks about it though is that, so what I did, like, you know how you were talking about how you were training that recruiter?
Yeah.
What I started to do when I noticed that my station command, well, I'm gonna call him a staff and SUC. Well, I also called him a boss. In my phone to this day, he's saved as boss. I never called him anything besides that. But what I started doing was I would put in the training underneath my name. So I would say that I took him out area canvassing. I would say that I did package prep with him. I would put there that I did this. So then when it came down to his 369 and the ARI would come in and he'd be like, yo, Bennett, why is there all this training from you? And I would be like, no.
Oh.
Exactly. And then when I became the A gunner, I continued to do it. And then the command was like, wait, why is this all under you? And I was like, because I'm doing the training. And then they would ask the recruiter, hey, when was the last time so-and-so went out with you? And then that was the messed up part, but they didn't do anything about it. And that's what I'm saying. Like, and that's why, again, when everybody bitches and moans and gripes about it, but they don't do anything, it's like, well, then don't bitch, moan, and gripe about it. If there's an issue with training in your RSS, you need to make it. You need to make a comment about it.
Yes.
You need to say something because it's your career that's going down the line. It's your fit rep that's not going to look right. It's your career that's getting taken, advantage of at this point. And you have to be able to have those conversations. And listen, if you're an A gunner and you're not looking at that staff NCO and saying like, hey bro, what are you doing?
Yes.
Like, your job is to hold these people accountable. And if you're not going to hold them accountable, well then don't think. And that's the thing about it, is that no one takes that A gunner role seriously because no one makes it a serious thing. But realistically, as Marines, we're charged to hold others accountable.
We are.
So we kind of went off on a crazy tangent, which I love because it was a great conversation. But I know you told me that good things came.
Yes.
So let's talk about those good things because we just spent a whole bunch of time
being negative.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's talk about so for the Marines out there who always hear recruiting duty sucks, where was the goodness that came out of this duty for you?
I killed it. I collected myself finally emotionally. I was down in the dumps, right, emotionally, but I have some very good people. One of them's on recruiting duty right now out there in New Jersey. We've discussed him before. And that gunny is an 8412. Yeah, I was there for his promotion. And anyways, he's probably a master sergeant now. Who knows? This guy would never have the balls to call me. I hope he hears this one day. He knows who he is. He'll call me. But so let's call it a year, right? Let's call it 10 to 11 months goes by. Negative things. Me and this boss always button heads. Things are bad, but I'm writing contracts. I ended up leaving on my own time. You can't tell me what to do because if you do, the CO, you're just gonna look there's my boy. So you're just gonna look silly by keeping me here, right? Because I was just sick of it. I was done. I get chosen to be a meritorious staff sergeant. Right? Like you're killing it. Your average is high. It's the nature of the beast, dude. It's recruiting duty. Do a good job. You're going to get meritorious. I feel like sometimes. My wife and I finally start rekindling things. I hit her up when I was in a really, really, really bad way one night. It was like 3:00 in the morning. I was not in the right mindset. Messenger, boom. We immediately, obviously reconnected, right? We've been together forever. Got selected for meritorious staff. This gunny takes all the credit for my meritorious staff thing. I get my meritorious staff promotion. The XO, who I'm friends with today, she's now a major. Shout out. Not going to say her name because I love her to death. But she'll see this. I'll send it to her. I talked to her today. But I said, just so everyone knows, this man over here did nothing to do with my success on this duty. It was all on me and only me and my best friend over here, who is now a civilian. So like I said, Joshua Langford. Joshua and I are the reason why this is successful, and I'm glad I got this way. Wife moved back down. Dude.
Hold on. Did you say this at your promotion?
Yes, in front of the CO, who's a brand new CO, by the way. He's still in.
Oh, my man.
Youngest. Anyways, the brand new CO. I correct his chevron the first time I met him, and I correct his chevron while he's in the office, and I make sure he looks okay for my promotion. I had the XO promote me with my dad and my son. I had this gunnery sergeant completely not involved. And I said it. I said, recruiting is what it is. This promotion was on me and the things that I did and the people around me that helped me. I've been into a bad state, but I said, my wife is here today and she was not here a year ago. And I said, I'm glad I'm here. So about a month or two, I think a month, 2 months, 3 months goes by. And my wife's not at the house. We're finally rekindling. Not fully back, right? But it's working on it. I take a female up to the RS, all the way to Kansas City, so 3.5 hours north, to help her cross because I can't remember what it was, but the shuttle wasn't working that day or something. I don't know. Maybe she needed to lose weight. I have no idea. It's recruiting duty. Anyways, I'm up there, and the ops chief goes, "Hey, Breen." I was like, "Yes, Master Sergeant." He goes, "CO wants to see you." I said, "Whatever the fuck it was, I didn't do it, dude. I've been good. I've been good lately. You can't get me now." Because they had a running joke in the R. They called them Breen screens, not clean screens, Breen screens. And so I'm outside the hatch, and I'm like, what happened, right? Like, is there a MCRD allegation? Why is my staff and COIC not telling me these things? I'm kind of almost tripping. Like, what just happened? Go in, and he says, "Sit down." I said, "All right. Sounds good, sir." Puts the speaker, boop, 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 boop. He's like, "I'm calling your station commander." I won't say his name, but I'm calling him. And I said, "Okay." And he's like, "Dude, quit worrying about stuff. This isn't bad." And I'm like, "That's just a catch, right?" Like,
yeah.
I'm up here trying to help a female cross so we can make mission for the RS for females, and she's shipping immediately. He goes, "So, Staff Sergeant Breen." I was like, "Yes, sir." He goes, "Just so you know, you're now going to be the station commander for RSS." I'm not going to say this. RSS's name. RSS so-and-so. This is an hour west of where I'm currently at. And I'm like, what? So I just sit there in silence. Again, if Jeremiah's in silence, there's a problem.
Yeah.
He's like, "All right, so Gunny so-and-so, this is what's happening." And he's like, "Do you have any problems?" And my station commander's tripping. Because he's like, "Dude, there's no way you're taking this guy away from me, right? Like, how the hell am I supposed to make mission now? We do all these things. He trains my Marines. Like, you know what's going through his head."
Yeah.
Hangs up.
I gotta work.
Yeah, I have to do my job. Holy shit, that's crazy. I make all this money to do nothing. And he was like, "So are you excited?" I'm a PCS Marine. I don't know shit about my Chris. I don't know what a macabre is. I use benefit tags. That's the only thing I did. because I can just talk to humans. And I said, excited about what? This station made mission maybe 2 or 3 times in 2.5 years. I have notes down here. I probably saw 4 or 5 bosses get fired out of there. Again, I don't know anything about the system. Never been to training. And I was like, not really. And he was like, why not? I said, what am I supposed to do, dude? I'm getting out of the Marine Corps in like 10 months. He's like, you think so? He's like, you were just promoted meritoriously like 8 months ago. I was like, so what does that have to do with anything? It's more money. And which is a shitty way to look at it, right?
Yeah.
But at that time I was staying in. I said, sir, just with all due respect, I said, my wife and I just figured things out. Like, I'm 100% in my kid's life every day. I get to kiss my wife every day now. I don't know that this is really the move. He goes, well, it's the move we're going to make. As a Marine, do you say no?
Yeah, no, yeah.
You can't, right? You can.
Yeah.
You don't say no. And so the whole drive home, I have 3 hours to think about this. And I'm like calling people. What do I do? What do I do? How do I tell these people no? Because I just made the decision not even a month ago that I'm getting out. I'm done. Done with recruiting. I'm done with the Marine Corps. I'm done with all of it. I have so much hate in my heart. And I want my family. That's all I want. And I finally had happiness because I knew what I was going to move on. I take it. My wife is not happy. She is like, Jeremiah, why? Why would you add more stress to what we've already been through? And I said, because I'm a winner. As douchey as it sounds, that is the only answer I could give her. I said, I'm a winner. I've never failed. I said, I failed our marriage once. I said, I won't fail anything else. I said, you're coming first. I promise. I had to report the next morning at 8 a.m. on a Friday. So pack my happy ass up and I get there at 8 a.m. I have a Marine that's been in the Marine Corps for 17 years, been to Ramadi, Fallujah. I'm this aviation Marine that's been in for 8.5 years, 8 years, never been to a real combat deployment, don't know shit. And I had to lead the dude that just got fired and 3 other people that were failing on top of this other guy that's retiring in 2 or 3 years. What do you say? I walk in wearing what I'm wearing now, a t-shirt and shorts like I always do, and some flip-flops. And they were told I was going to come in and kick in doors and step on dicks and run them into the ground so we make mission. I walk in, I sat on the couch, I gathered everybody. It's the only thing I said. I said, trust me. They're like, what? I said, whatever happens from here on out, I said, just trust me and we'll win. That's it. I said, that's all I'm asking. If you guys would trust me, we'll win. I said, let's go to lunch. Everybody's going home for the day. I'll see you on Monday. And they were like, what? Sent them home. Call the CO. Because that's my main point of contact, right? When you're a station commander, the CO is who you call. I said, sir, I sent everybody home for the weekend. He goes, you did what? I said, you put me in a position to lead Marines. The only thing I know how to do is to create happiness from the beginning. And if I have happiness now, I can ride the happiness train. And he's like, okay. I was like, all right. He's like, what are you doing? I said, I'm going to look and see what I have here. And then I'm going to go home for the weekend and I'll see you on Monday. They all went, came back. I took time for every single one of my Marines. I took notes on every single recruiter. I said, what do you love? Because I had single Marines, I had married Marines, I had Marines with kids, I had 37-year-old Marines that I like, right? What do you love? And how do you get to that? I put them on my wall in my office, right? Pens. Staff sergeant so-and-so, sergeant so-and-so. And I made goals. We made mission in 3 weeks. We never missed mission, shipping, or contracting the entire time I was there. Because of all of this negative shit that I felt, the bad leadership, the lack of training, I took it and I put people in those positions. I made every single, not me. No, that's super selfish. I helped these Marines be successful.
Amen.
I talked to every single one of them to this day. The dude that got fired, you know how much he helped me? He would help me and I would send him home. Imagine going from the streets to the boss to back to being someone in charge of you that knows nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing. But I gained all their trust. Staff Sergeant Gray, I can say his name. Yeah, he just retired, man. That's the guy. He came in one day and slams my door. Thought we were fighting. I didn't know. Like I was like, yeah, how can I help you, man? And he was like, fuck you. Okay. It's like, for what though? He's like, because I don't believe anything you're saying. I think you're full of shit. And I don't think any of us are going to be successful. Holy fuck. 2 weeks later, slams the door. Fuck you. Thanks, man. He's like, you're one of the best leaders I've had. And you've been in the Marine Corps how long? And like, that's where like, dang, dude. We did something because we trusted each other. You learned your Marines and you allowed them to be successful. And even if they had a bad day, you can still go home.
Bro, that's it, man.
Go home.
And that's it. Listen, man, and that's where we're gonna end. We're gonna end part 1 right there. Go home. The reality of it is that, man, is that the reason why stations fail is because they don't come together and they don't do quality training.
Yes.
They don't have a common goal. There's Marines that don't want to make it. There's Marines that want to make it. If you just have a commonality of wanting to win, and you really go into the day wanting to win, and you create customs, right? You create, okay, hey, when we make mission, we go and we do this. When we make phase line, we go and we do this. And you make celebrations out of it. Because if you make mission and then tomorrow is the exact same day as yesterday, then making mission means nothing.
Nope.
If you get an appointment, you get an interview, if you get an NWA and there's nothing's happening, then it doesn't matter. You know, and that's the thing about it, is you have to learn what your Marines are into, but you also have to care about it. Like,
Yes.
don't find out that someone likes to do something just to leverage it.
Yes.
Like, you like to go on roller coasters. You can't go on roller coasters till you're right for. Like, no, like, take care of the Marine, take care of his family, but take care of the Marine because it's your job and because that's what we're supposed to do. If you build it, they will come. I've said that since I was a young sergeant on recruiting duty. If you literally take the time to just care about your Marines,
yes, sir,
and you truly work at it, like people, and something that people don't think about either is that, like, you know why you have an issue with dep attrition? Because poolies watch what staff's station commanders do to their Marines.
Yes, they do.
Like, they watch it and they're like, and they see it and they're like, wait a minute, he's an asshole all of the time.
Yes,
you don't go home. Like, and I've talked to poolies and I've asked them, like, afterwards, like, hey man, why did you drop out? And they're like, bro, I watched how you were treated, and I was like, I don't want anything to do with this.
Do you know how hard it was to gain the trust of a pool of a guy who was the prior station commander is now a normal recruiter, and I'm telling him what to do? And they all loved this station commander.
Mm-hmm.
Great guy. I had to earn all that trust. Dude, I would get scoffed at by kids because like, who the fuck are you?
Yeah.
Because they were all told the same thing. Staff Sergeant Breen's coming in and going to step on dicks. Be ready. He's going to fucking make all you guys pop and burn all of you because he doesn't have anything to lose. Just ready. Get ready. Like, that's what they hear.
Yeah.
That trust is hard.
It is. And like I said, man, just to cap it all there, you know, I'm glad that we brought this around to a positive note. But that's the thing about it. And part 2 is going to be, where is Jeremiah now? How did the Marine Corps help Jeremiah? How did recruiting duty end up helping you where you are now at in life? But right now, man, I just want to thank you for coming on, man. I want to thank you for doing probably 3 hours of podcasting at this point, because we've done part 5 at this point, I think. We started at 9:00 and it's now 11:37. So 2 hours and 30 minutes for a 1 hour episode. So, thank you so much, man, for coming on, man. If you have any last words, anything you want to share with us, do that, and then we'll bring it home, and then we'll do a part 2 sometime in the future.
Recruiting duty may be tough, and it is tough. It's the hardest thing I've ever done, and I'll believe that, and I'll say that the rest of my life. I lost my family, and I gained it back.
Mm.
If there's not a light, make your own light no matter what it is. I don't care if your light is going to Denny's and getting the slammer. I don't care if your light is to drink one beer, because you don't need to be doing anything crazy and then going home. Reset yourself and be you when you walk in that front door for your wife and children, husband and children, whatever it is. Be you. For my case, it's be Jeremiah. Make your own light and love your family first, because guess what? The Marine Corps will always be there. Your family can possibly not be. That's it.
My man. Wow. Thank you. Couldn't thank you for a better outro. We will definitely see you again on part 2. Thanks again, brother. God bless you. Thanks for coming on, and have a good night.
Hell yeah. Thanks, man. You too.